You know, spring has finally sprung here in northern Nevada. The birds are chirping. We finally got green grass, so it is time for golf tips. And up here at Sierra Sage Golf Course, Mike Mazzaferri, the GM and head professional, are going to try and help me with my pathetic golf game. So many people, Mike, come up to me and go, "Oh, you work in sports. I'm sure you get to play golf all the time." I play maybe 4 times a year. I used to play a lot, but life gets in the way, as does work. I'm trying to just get back into my game here in the springtime. Where should we start?
You know, today, Brian, and thank you for being here today on one of our few nice days we've had so far this year. Today we're going to talk about a chip and a pitch shot, and most golfers really don't know the difference. And they get up near the green and they grab their sand wedge and just hit it up on the green. And if you can control your trajectory and your speed around the greens, picking one of these 2 shots, you know, whatever the shot calls for, if you know the mechanics of these 2 shots, you know, none of us hit all the greens in regulation. We chip and putt a lot. Right. So, you know, this will help people improve their score.
All right, let's start off with the chip.
Okay, so there's really 2 shots we're going to do. Like I said, a chip and a pitch. The first one is a chip, and it would be if I threw the ball from my knee and let it roll like that. I want the ball to release, roll past the hole, you know, preferably, and maybe have a chance to go in. Okay, and so the mechanics of this shot, Brian, are really simple. Instead of my normal setup with a pitching wedge ball, you know, in this position here, I'm going to get in closer. I'm actually going to bend my left arm and put the ball in the middle of my stance. I don't want to forward press or lean this shaft. I want it pretty straight up and down because I want to use the true loft on this club. And the mechanics that you want to think while hitting this shot are really just not getting wristy. You want to, it's a short swing, obviously. There's not a lot to go wrong. I never lift up on the club. I just bend my arms and I hit with no wrist action, you know, almost like a putt.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're almost basically putting with a wedge.
Yeah, and it's different than putting because there's a little bit of body movement here and so forth, but if you watch the path of this club, you know, it's pretty simple. You know, it's short back, short through. I don't need this big, long follow through, and this is an easy shot, you know, and once you get it down, you'll chip in sometimes. So come on in here, let's see what we got. So Brian, in this shot, so the ball in the middle of your stance, the shaft is coming up a little bit, you're kind of holding it down to the steel, weight's on your left foot, at butt end of the club pointed at your belly button. Good, and no wrist break. That was a great technique. Okay, and so don't look at the hole, look at the spot you want to land it here. And just hit it right to your spot. Yeah, there you go. And, you know, the green will do all the work. That's a beautiful chip shot. It's a gimme. Most of the time, I'd probably give you that one.
Yeah, you probably, right?
Okay, get in a little closer this way. There you go. Now hit your spot. Really good. And notice how the ball comes out without any spin on it.
Right.
Just like you were hitting it with a pool cue. You know, it's just rolling.
It's crazy. You can actually see that it's really not spinning all that much.
Yeah,
It takes
yep.
off.
And so you're in close, your weight's on the left foot, no wrist break. And so in that case there, you kind of broke down a little this way, gave the club a little bit of lift, and you popped it up in the air.
Let me try that again.
So that was a wrist break on the follow through. Good, very good. Okay, and the idea is if I was going to putt it from here, throwing it up on the green right there and letting it roll like a putt. And you know, this short shot, I recommend using a pitching wedge or an 8-iron. If you're hitting it all the way across the green, use a 7 or 8-iron. If the pin's right in front of you here, use a pitching wedge. Little trick for this shot too is when I have a close shot, I want to move in really close to it because I can't take very much of a swing when I'm standing that close. If I'm standing back here, I'll take it back to here before I know where it is. And the closer my feet are, the smaller the stroke. You know,
you're able to really control yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's how I'm standing, you know, just experiment a little here. As your feet get in closer, you can just naturally, and then you're being aggressive with it. There, perfect. So that's the bump and run or a chip. And if you're going across the green, you want to hit a little harder, let's go to the 8-iron. All right, so like the short chip shot here or short bump and run, Brian, Now we're hitting a long one. Okay, so I'm going to go from the pitching wedge to an 8-iron.
Okay.
And I'm going to use the same technique. I'm going to, instead of my normal setup, I'm going to get in close, kind of eyes over it, weight on my left foot, ball's in the middle of my stance.
Okay.
And mechanically, it's the same thing. You don't want to wrist break. And I'm looking at my spot right there, and I just want to land it on my spot and let the ball roll. And the enemy of this shot really is flipping, and getting wristy. As long as I don't get wristy, the ball's going to come out and roll like a putt. And, ideally you have a tap in, and the degree of difficulty in this shot isn't that high as long as you follow these simple steps.
Step in, get above a little bit.
Okay, eyes over it, kind of shaft straight up and down, kind of pointed at your belly button.
Pick where I want it to land.
Yep, look at your spot.
Don't break your wrists.
Wonderful, wonderful, good
Maybe
technique.
Put a little more on it next time.
Yeah, and if you had a 7-iron out, that would have gone. You choose your club by kind of where you want to land it.
Right.
And I love the action on that ball. It's rolling like a putt when it hits the green, and good. Those are all good. And as you practice this and get a feel for different clubs, you'll have a better, feel for the distance and what clubs do. You watch tour players, you'll see people on the tour, both the men's and the women's, seniors too, using a hybrid to chip with, because it's a flat bottom and it has a little loft and it won't get caught up in the grass. And this is an easy shot, and if you take the time to practice it and use a bunch of different clubs, it gets easier, not harder. It simplifies the process.
So that's your first golf tip of the season here from Mike Mazzaferri. The chip and the pitch, 2 easy ways around the green that will help you lower your score. If you want to come out here to Sierra Sage Golf Course, check them out at sierrasagegolf.org.